and hello. The turkey won't fit in the frame. How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving, all. Happy Turkey Day, which was yesterday in the United States. If you didn't know, good morning. It is a Friday. I'm coping right now. I have a turkey on my head. Hello, Mo. I started a little prematurely and realized I didn't have anything set up. So, welcome. Come on in. I'll have to scoot back to get the full turkey effect. And the turkey has Santa hats at the end of its legs. It's kind of strange. So, okay, let's get into it. Um, how's it going? How's your week? Yeah, hop on into YouTube, Twitter, X, Twitch, say hello. Come join the chat. Wow, I'm really having to stretch things. I'm assuming the audio is working. I have not even checked, but yeah, let's just do a brief. Okay, sorry, running a little behind this morning. Yes, okay. So we are golden, and what do we got going on? Huh, is that all I did this weekend? I'm sure I did more, but the big event for the last weekend was my AL Vibe Coding live stream. And for those of you who missed the excitement, I mean, I don't know how you could have missed it, but I have a new live stream format that I pulled together 100, well, it was assembled by a human. I got some inspiration from AI graphics that helped out, but human inspired theme of AL vibe coding. And journey number one was embrace the vibes. And so check that out. And that was kind of just an intro bumbling example of how one could vibe code in Business Central. There are about 1,000 caveats of that. So we're going to explore that in the AL vibe coding. Maybe I'll try to do one later today, this weekend. I have no idea, but I have a whole laundry list of AL vibe coding. And vibe coding is based off of the Andrej Karpathy quote from February 2025 that I mentioned last live stream and explained in the AL vibe coding session. And let me see if I can fix this to get because this took a lot of time, man. I put myself in a little tiny analog TV. Look at that. I mean, that's cool. And it changes channels too, right? Like I have full channel change capability. I've got different rooms I'm going to be in. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's the AL Vibe Coding live stream that I did last weekend. So, weekly projects. Two blondes in Berlin. Two blonde women invaded El Salvador, as you may have seen. Business Central certification planning continues. AL Vibe Coding is not just in progress, it is in full swing. It is pedal to the metal, full speed, nonstop, all gas, no brakes. Let's go. Um, yeah, yeah. There, Jason appreciates the TV. There are many directions I could have gone. It is actually really hard to get a good quality centered face on photo of an analog CRT TV. I grew up with Sony Trinitron because my father was a purist and Sony was the cat's meow and the Trinitron was the CRT to have when I was a kid. For color TV, once we upgraded to color, mind you, right? And I tried to get a photo of a Trinitron, and there are some, but it's like, an eBay listing or a garage sale listing. It's angle and bad lighting. So my TV, I actually had to have AI generate it so that it was just a nice clean image. I had to pull the CRT out so I could be inside of the TV. It was a whole thing. It was a lot of work. So yeah, I had to compromise. AL vibe coding is in full swing. Lots of 1099 changes in Business Central. If you are not aware of the changes for 1099s in the United States in Business Central, whoa boy, I highly recommend you look into this because otherwise you are going to be very confused when you try to generate, print, process 1099s. So look into it now, ASAP, pronto, because you will want to understand what's going on. It is completely changed in BC 27. Another conference session submitted was completed this week. Thank you, Mr. Brad. Monday, lunes, vibe coding speed run. I spent Monday working on a real project, real statement of work, real Business Central extension, and it was for a partner, and we quoted a total of 46 hours, I believe, for this project. Of the 46, 28 hours were allocated for development, like actual hands-on development tasks. Fair amount of overhead, and that includes all the time for getting requirements, designing, and stuff like that. So that's part of the overhead. And I did a vibe coding speed run in one day, had the thing fully developed with all sorts of features that were not in the statement of work because we couldn't fit them in a reasonable budget. If we would have quoted 64 hours, sure. But for the 28 hours of development time we had, it did not include several key features. I did everything, plus huge, significant features like fully automated data generation for testing, automated Excel spreadsheet export to create a sample Excel file to import, thousands of records automatically generated, all included, full logging, 6 hours. 6 hours. And I zipped it up. It was a mess, but it worked. I zipped it up, sent it to my developer, said, there you go. Vibe coding is real, and it is time. We then had to troubleshoot. We have a registration system we built way before AI several years ago. It is moderately complex, difficult to maintain, vibe coding opportunity, absolutely. So we're going to be looking at that. Took us like 3 days to troubleshoot this registration error because it's in a customer's production environment. It's just really difficult. So we need to vibe code our registration license management system and improve that. We need a new dashboard. We need much more extensive telemetry. We need to just make it much more reliable. And in case you have been living under a rock, the Shai-Hulud malware infects, depending on what article you read, 500, 800 NPM packages, leaks secrets on GitHub. This is a supply chain attack. And if you're using Node.js or NPM, what these worms are doing is they are apparently compromising the GitHub accounts of certain contributors or owners of these dependency packages. They infect these packages, do a build, it creates an NPM package, which is a dependency or this node package, however this works, and it gets rolled up into other applications such as lesser known packages like Postman. You might have heard of it. And I don't know if it's Postman itself or if it's just these plugins and extensions for Postman, but huge problem. And so over the weekend, unrelated, I happened to install NPM, Node.js, whatever it is, for something else on my dev machine. As far as I could tell, Node.js and NPM are an absolute security dumpster fire. The number of things it installs during the installation, it's just popping windows, installing all this garbage. Unbelievable. So I don't understand it, but this is not the first time this happened with NPM. It's at least the second time, and huge security risk. And unfortunately, it appears that the MCP servers being developed for BC by the community are using Node.js. So not entirely thrilled about that. I don't know what the selection process was, but I'm assuming ease of development, but just be careful. I don't know how to control it. I don't know how to mitigate the risk, but yep, there you go. Tuesday, Martes. I just wanted to do some work. My laptop wouldn't boot. Well, it booted, but to a black screen with a mouse cursor. Nothing would load. I could run Task Manager. I spent an hour trying to do something and I finally got it to work, but by then I'm just like, okay, it was 10 p.m. I'm ready for bed. So Windows is getting really bad, and Microsoft is shoving AI garbage down our throats. I don't know if you've heard, I forgot to include a slide. Apparently, Notepad, basic Microsoft Windows Notepad, is getting advanced formatting, tables, and AI, which exactly 0 people on the planet asked for. But I don't know if this is a rumor, a joke, whatever, but I'm hearing that Notepad in Windows is getting AI. If that is true, game over for Windows. It is just going to be absolutely garbage, worse than it is now. Like this example, and this might be a consumer version of Windows, why this is happening. You type terminal and you get promoted search results for a movie called Terminal. You do not get the Terminal app. Now, others posted responses to this saying it works fine for me. So this might be a consumer Windows 11 version, and maybe you turn all this stuff off, but absolute mess. And continuing the train, Microsoft says, oh, we're committed to making Windows File Explorer faster. Instead of improving the performance of Windows File Explorer, what do? They say, we're going to try to preload this to hide and obfuscate the performance issues in Windows 11. And they said that it is still slower than Windows 10. Now, they say they tested on a 4 gig machine. So there's your problem, right? But yeah, it adds 35 more megabytes of RAM in order to preload. So very interesting. So Mac or Linux, where am I going next? I've tried Linux and I'd be totally. So Jason says, my notepad has Copilot icon already. Yeah, like uh, I'm the guy wearing a turkey on my head and I appear to be the smarter person in the room. Like if that gives you any relative reference. Um, Absolutely preposterous that you would attempt to add Copilot or anything to Notepad. I'm with you. I just use Notepad as just pasting garbage. I use Notepad++. If you're hardcore like me, you're an ultra edit kind of person. But Notepad++ is free, convenient, easy to install. So I'm with you. Apparently you can uninstall the new Notepad now in Windows 11. If that is true, I'm just going to uninstall it so it's not even there. Like absolute AI garbage. And then to top it off, someone recommended Stardock Start 11. I have not tried it, but I believe I use a product called Stardock. What is it called? Stardock Fences, I think is what I have on my desktop here. And so Fences, I believe, is by Stardock, and it lets you do these little icon groupings on your desktop. It's got a bunch of other features that I don't really use, but I might look into other Stardock products like Start 11. But the long-term move is clearly Windows is just going to become this garbage pile. And so Mac or Linux, the big problem I have with Linux, as I mentioned before, I'd love to be able to use Linux. Honestly, I'd be willing to punish myself and learn it. But Office is just a non-starter, or Microsoft 365, and yes, all the mess that brings. But that's what all of my team members use, all of my colleagues, all of my customers, all of my clients, all the partners. Everyone uses Microsoft Office. So, like, yeah, it just isn't an option on Linux as far as I could tell. So, Mac may be the gateway drug to Linux. I'll have to see. I've heard there's a rumor that late 2025, I think, Apple is trying to work on a low cost MacBook notebook or something like $500-$600. I'd be willing to try that because that's almost cheaper than me buying a 4-year-old X1 Carbon laptop off of eBay. So if Apple releases a performant MacBook Air or whatever they're going to call it, lightweight, inexpensive, runs Mac OS, isn't garbage, I might be able to tolerate. It'll be totally unrepairable, so you'll just have to throw it away if you need a new keyboard type of thing. But yeah, I might be willing to try it. I'll experiment with it, but really Linux is where I'd love to go. I just don't know how to deal with Office. Wednesday, miércoles, Copilot for Business. Given my vibe coding rampage, I set up a business account on GitHub or organization, whatever it's called, and we signed up for Copilot for Business. Franklin is now on Copilot for Business, has a full account. He is now hardcore vibe coding. He no longer in copying, pasting, all that stuff. He is full on agentic AI, AL vibe coding like a madman in Berlin, El Salvador. Our senior developer is coming on to Copilot for Business as well. We're going to cancel. We had the personal account to give it a try. So both of them are going to be on Copilot for Business. I'm on Copilot something through an MVP freebie. I don't know if I want to spend $20. I'll have to look at the difference, but we can now manage that centrally. We supposedly have the benefits of Copilot for Business, whatever those are, like kind of privacy of your code base. I don't know if you can upload your code base and have it scan it or not. I need to look into all the features. We are vibe coding all the things, and by all the things, check this out. We started to look into 1099 for Business Central, Ronald and I, to prepare for year end, and we're like, what happened? 26.5, as far as we could tell, is completely and utterly broken in terms of the 1099 functionality. It literally doesn't work. So if you set up a new 26.5 sandbox, as far as we could tell, you cannot properly configure 1099s from scratch. Like so Sasha says, are you talking about GitHub Copilot or Microsoft Copilot for Business? I have no idea. Hence Microsoft's dumpster fire of naming. I believe it is GitHub Copilot because I went to, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I think it's called GitHub Copilot for Business, like the full name. Because I went to GitHub Copilot. Let me fix that. GitHub Copilot. And I signed up for, I think it is Copilot for Business because it's an organization account. You tell me. No idea. Whatever it is, we signed up for it on GitHub and we can kind of manage our accounts and assign licenses and all that jazz. So thank you for the clarification. Yes, coding assistance. It's the VS Code GitHub Copilot agent chat thingy for business organizations, not the personal account. That's the distinction there. So it's the $19, not the $10. So yes, crazy confusing. Welcome to Microsoft, right? Next, they're going to call it GitHub Copilot for Business 365, whatever. So vibe coding all the things. Check this out. We could not figure out the mess. As far as we could tell, 1099s are completely broken in 26.5 Business Central Online for the US. We tried to configure it. It simply doesn't work. It doesn't fully configure. Errors galore. The reports won't run. Like, I mean, I'm sure they knew this, and the solution is you have to go to 27. So anyway, we went to 27. We looked at the functionality. We literally could not find where to configure it. The pages are completely different names. Nothing like, none of the old features are the same. We saw some of the fields. We asked Perplexity. It's confused. We finally found a blog post by Ian Grieve over in the UK. Props to Ian. Thank you. And he had a mention of the new page name for 1099 configuration. And I'm just like, okay, we got to stop. This is crazy. Even Perplexity have no idea what's going on. So check this out. This is utterly dumb, but it was a great demonstration of the capacity of vibe coding. I took the entire code base from Stefan Marone's BC Code History, downloaded 26.5, US 26.5. I downloaded US 27, the entire BC code base. zip files, expanded them, put them both into a directory, a parent directory. I opened VS Code and I said, I am sorry, I am truly sorry, but here is 26.5 code base. Here's 27 code base. Please analyze all of the 1099 functionality and provide a full analysis of what changed from 26.5 to 27, right? Totally the wrong, inefficient, probably dumb way to go about this, but I'm not going to go try to find the documentation, figure out what changed, find all the menus, blah. Like, that's hours of work trying to decipher this documentation. I put it into VS Code and had the agent figure it out. It wrote a report by comparing the code base. Like, why go to these indirect sources when I can go direct to the source code, the literal source code, and have it do this analysis, folks? So we asked it questions, we figured out what the menus are, and we sent this out. Here is an analysis of the 1099 functionality, Business Central 26 versus 27, prepared in 2 minutes by Copilot. Boom, done. One of the questions we had is, this configuration is so different. Are customers going to have to do something to migrate? We were kind of worried. The answer is no. Configuration is automatic. Allegedly, right? So yes, if you have customers with 1099, buckle up. It is a completely different animal. Figure it out. Completely different screens, pages, configuration, processes, you name it. Everything is different as far as we can tell. And you will definitely want to test it because, like, you're in a new world with 1099s. And then I did some remote vibe coding. I don't get out much these days, but my daughter said, hey, can you take me and my friends to the mall 40 minutes away? Of course, right? Because we want to go hang out there and do whatever teenagers do at the mall these days. I'm like, fine. I brought my laptop, sat down at lunch, and vibe coding changes the entire mood of remote coding because I just needed to pop open my laptop. And I have a dev server sitting here on my Lenovo ThinkCentre MQ10, whatever, tiny PC. And it just hums along, and I keep that RDP session open. I use Sonic Wall, whatever the Sonic Wall network overlay is. I VPN into my network safely, and I check on the status. I ask a few questions and just let it vibe code. Then I close my laptop. So I'm not having to be constantly connected and concentrating on my code. I'm just checking in on my little worker bees here. And I had lunch with my daughter and her friends. It was fun. So on Thursday, Jueves, oh man, these production interns screwed up again. Hold up. Let me fix this. Animations floated. Okay. So on Thursday, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I believe it was California Lotto had a TV commercial that is an absolute legendary classic. Guy's shopping in the grocery store, talks about how he learned on Saturday that he had won the lotto. And this is a true story. Tom Tahee was a lotto millionaire number 402. He won 45 million, and this is like in the early 90s or something. And this is a great TV commercial series they had talking or like portraying the lottery winners. And he's at the grocery store and he says, I realized I could totally afford all this cheese. There's an entire aisle of cheese at the grocery store. And that's what comes to mind after winning $40 million. So that's me with AI. I am sitting here with this absolute laundry list of things I want to do that require AL that my developers like, no chance I'm going to do all this work for you. And I am now thinking I could totally vibe code all of this stuff. So me and Tom, we are on the same page. I could vibe code all this cheese. And I'm just making a list. I want a test generator. I've been wanting a test generator in BC for load testing and performance testing and benchmarking for 5 years. My dreams have come true. I want an API import performance benchmark test tool. I want a posting performance benchmark. I want to be able to test different AL routines to see what's faster. I want to be able to bulk delete invoices and other records when you're doing test imports. I want to see, can I do this as a page background test? I don't know. Will it work? Will it not? I don't know. It would be days of work before. Now it's minutes. We've got a complex report extension that was an absolute nightmare to hand code. Way over budget. Can I vibe code that? Let's find out. Documentation user guides. If you've done this, you know that is literally one sentence. Prepare a user guide, comprehensive, step-by-step, testing checklist. Done. 5 seconds. BC dependency MCP server. I tried it yesterday. I need to talk to Stefan and understand what I'm looking at here. It didn't solve the problems I was having, specifically the US bank app, exclude bank app, didn't work. So I'm trying to figure out when to use this, what's the benefit, why have this Node.js NPM mess on my computer. License management dashboard, as I mentioned earlier, on the plate now. Everything is on the table, as it were. BC Sentinel functional. If you're familiar with BC Sentinel, we want to do a full-on functional version of BC Sentinel. Stefan's like, brother, I do not have time for your noise. So we're like, we're on it. I'm going to AI vibe code it. Stefan has kids to deal with now. I empathize. So, hey, yesterday, 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. Copilot, hey, I got an idea. When I import 1,000 sales invoices for testing, you know how hard it is to delete those bad boys in order to retest? Absolute nightmare. Why? Because BC sensibly does not allow you to bulk delete 1,000 sales invoices. What could possibly go wrong with that, right? Couldn't think of a single thing that could go wrong with that. But in a sandbox, when we're testing, when we're doing configuration packages, when I'm testing a PTE that needs 1,000 invoices, I need 1,000 invoices. But when you got to delete those and retest, not so easy. Absolute, complete waste of time. 5 minutes. I said, BC or Copilot, I need to be able to bulk delete sales invoices from the sales invoice list page. It said, I got you, bro. Button, done, delete, bulk delete. And I did a Kenny Loggins, that's a joke. And I put a menu that said analysis, whatever it was, danger zone, that's my Kenny Loggins menu. So danger zone, bulk delete. And you just select the sales invoices, it'll bulk delete all of them, done. Now, for those of you screaming at me, Steve, that's a really bad idea. Trust me, that's why we're going Kenny Loggins. I also said this should only run in a sandbox. So I said, Copilot, check environment type sandbox. It said, great idea, Steve, as those AI agents do. And it added a check. It will only run in environment type sandbox. I said, hey, let's do belt and suspenders. It said, great idea, Steve. And it will not even install in a production environment. How long did that take me? 30 seconds to simply ask those questions. Bing, bang, boom, done. I now have a widget. Now, I'm not crazy. I'm wearing a turkey on my head, but I'm not crazy. I am not going to release this thing in the wild. As far as I'm concerned, this is like malware for AL and BC. So we now have to figure out, I've got this awesome, massive time-saving little widget that my consultants have been asking for the last week. Jocelyn's like, bro, I have been banging away on this, manually deleting these invoices. Yes, I've tried edit in Excel. It's a nightmare when you've got 10,000 other invoices in the system. What is the way? So we want to release this. What is the responsible way to release this? I've gone Kenny Loggins. We block production usage. We block production installation. So I think it's safe, but how do we package, maintain, track, manage, deploy? We got to get it in DevOps. So unfortunately, AI has solved a lot of the problems. It hasn't solved all of the problems. And yes, I hear you screaming, Steve, there's an MCP for DevOps. That's great, but it doesn't do the full Alpaca. And Alpaca has a bunch of manual stuff we got to do. So we still have a lot of overhead to solve. So our project, for instance, went from 46 hours, 28 of development down to 6.5 of development. We have a 3 to 4 time improvement in efficiency for development. Now we got to tackle our overhead, and that's where humans and clicking and all this procedure is involved. I don't know how to solve it. And that was a lot for Thursday. So moving on, the last point I'll say is all of this AI garbage, this is like the movie Limitless. And if you've seen the movie Limitless, you know that when Bradley Cooper takes a pill, he becomes a genius. So even though he's wearing a turkey on his head and he can barely write a page of his book in his ratty, dirty apartment, once he takes that pill, he wakes up, his apartment is clean, he's got a 300-page novel, and he's made $2.5 million in the stock market. That's what I feel like with AI, just not as good looking, and I don't have the $3.5 million. So, but the possibilities are pretty crazy. So moving on, cybersecurity stuff. So anyway, out of order here, but CIA Ethernet ports. This is fascinating. I didn't know about this. In 2008, apparently, this was leaked. Maybe it was part of WikiLeaks or something. Apparently, the CIA or the NSA or someone, big surprise, right? They said, hey, how do we compromise an enemy's network? They said, we're not going to try to attack it. We're not going to try to go to the front door. They said, well, could we like compromise the Cisco gear or whatever? They could, but that's kind of hard. What's a better way? Let's play the long game. Well, it turns out that little square thing, that's an Ethernet port. And Ethernet ports apparently contain tiny little circuit boards and microprocessors for the blinking lights, right? They said, let's compromise the Ethernet port module way downstream when they're manufactured. So they get included on a daughter board that gets included into a switch or a router or some type of network gear, and they will have compromised hundreds of network appliances around the world. Genius, right? So apparently this was a thing where they compromised the actual Ethernet port, the RJ45 module. Yes, I have another cold. And what's crazy is not only did they compromise it, but these things apparently can mesh network and talk to each other in order to collaborate and do whatever they did and then phone home. Absolutely bonkers. What else do we got here? I already talked about the Node. Did I talk about the Node.js NPM worm? I don't even remember, but yes, fully compromised Node, or a bunch of packages on NPM were compromised. So out of order there. 2026 events. Let's rip through this. We have Partner in Vibe conference in January, South Padre Island. My flight and hotel are booked. Sessions are submitted. I don't know when sessions are announced, but we are ready to go. I believe Tanya will be there. I believe Shannon will be there. I believe David Laster will be there. All the cool kids will be there. So come and join us if you are a Microsoft partner. It's not a customer event, partner event only. Directions NA, April 27th through 29th. I believe I have 3 sessions submitted. Cybersecurity, AI vibe coding, and maybe a second vibe coding. I can't even remember at this point. Dynamics, Directions NA. Totally confused. I don't even remember what sessions I submitted for Directions NA. Need to submit one more, I believe. Dynamics Con, May 12th through 15 in Las Vegas. I do have 3 sessions. Cybersecurity and 2 AI, I believe. Dynamics Minds, May 25th in Slovenia. Head on over to Slovenia if you are in the neighborhood. Friday Viernes, New Era of AI. Oh, that's today. Don't know what I meant by that, but yes, we're in a new era of AI. Oh, general topic, I think. Massive efficiency, So many questions come out of this, right? Like, what even is this? It's so different that we are going to have to figure out new language, new processes, new skills, new learning. Like, how do we do things anymore? How do we estimate? How do we bill? If something used to take us 40 hours and it now takes us 8 or even 12, like, what? How do you estimate that? How do you make money off of that? Like, I have no idea if it's going to take 4 or 6 hours. I'm not going to nitpick over 4 to 6 hours. I'm just say 8, right? Or 12 or whatever. It's not 40. So I don't know that we need to really worry about it. And I'm hoping customers won't complain about that. If we get it done in 4, we're going to bill 8. So I would say that's a pretty good deal. But let me know what you guys think. All new procedures and processes, absolutely. Communication, I suspect, is going to become a pretty big deal. We'll be communicating more often. There won't be, daily check-ins. We might check in every 30 minutes as I'm vibe coding like a madman, and my developer's like, how do you want me to do this? Oh, put the button over there. Great, done. What next? Add logging, done. So things are going to be moving so fast that we're really going to have to figure out different ways to communicate. It's no longer, oh, I send this over to my developer in 3 days, he has a beta, right? Documentation, that's done now. That's one line and 10 pages will be spit out. Does anyone read it? How do we deal with this new AI generated documentation? It's actually much better than what I could write. So I'm actually pretty comfortable with the documentation. It's different, right? It's not going to be the same as my handwritten procedure guides, but I've seen it. I'm like, fine, you win. It's more comprehensive than anything I would write. Yes. So Sasha says, if you do well and deliver the vibe coded solution, you'll save so much time and money that you'll be able to easily address the maintenance challenges later. I totally agree. And my developer and I discussed this. So we are super stressed about statements of work and budgets because it's like, okay, one bug and we're dead. Like our 28 hours is nothing compared to a 16-hour bug that is problematic, right? Blows us out of the water in terms of our budget. We're constantly having a pad. We're constantly worried that if we miss something, the customer says you should have done this. We're like, okay, there goes our budget, right? We're just burning hours. Now we can say, okay, we can vibe code it in 4. We'll have to fix some things, clean it up, package it up, do it properly, fix the AI hallucinations and bugs. Okay, let's say 8. Should we say 12? Because maybe we want to refine some things and maybe the customer has some requests. Instead of bickering about whether that request is in scope or not, guess what? Customer's like, hey, could I add this now that I realize? Sure. Okay. Boom. Well, sure, we'll charge 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it takes. We got to check it in. We got to do a PR. We got to do a pipeline. But like, I want to be able to do a statement of work and a quote where the stress is off and we can just have a conversation with the customer, not arguing about rates. So instead of 46 hours, we're like, hey, 24 hours. You cool with that? They're like, we're cool with that. Great. Let's have a conversation and go wild and build the coolest little PTE you've ever seen. I'd love that, right? So automated testing, never in the budget, right? No one wants to pay for that. Done, included. Let's do it. Manual testing, yeah, we're going to have to do some manual testing. We have found just like, wait, what is this? The AI goes off the rails, so we have to have manual testing, a lot of manual testing. But guess what? The AI generates an awesome manual testing guide. Code review, yes, we're going to need manual code review. My developer messaged me this morning. He's like, I just realized he was checking the code, he happened to notice that for a request for something else, the AI realized it completely missed a field in an import. Like it wasn't even there. And he's like, why is this field suddenly appearing in this last round of code? I didn't ask for this. Like he asked for documentation or something, and all of a sudden it pops a field in the import. He realized it completely missed a field during the entire development and testing process. He's like, whoa, we got to watch out for this. So these things are kind of crazy, right? So we do need a code review. Definitely need a deliverable review just to catch the mistakes and things it missed, right? So anyway, it's a new era. Summit NA Roadshows, dynamicscommunities.com/summit-roadshow. Check it out. Houston, December 9th, Fort Lauderdale, December 11th. Check those dates. DynamicsCon Regionals 2026, Tampa in January, Vancouver in March, and Denver in April. And double check those dates. Excellence updates. Jocelyn is fighting configuration packages valiantly, hence the tool to bulk delete sales invoices. She's like, help me out, man. So we're vibe coding some utilities. We got to figure out how to control those and use those responsibly and safely. But she is banging down the door for a bulk delete. She is starting MB800, as is David, who is also doing configuration packages for a couple new implementations we have. David is also now essentially a simple object designer expert. If Eric Hogard had a certification program, I'm pretty sure David could pass that with flying colors. So he has now found every nook and cranny and dark alley in Simple Object Designer, and he has hit multiple brick walls at this point where he has hit the limit of what Simple Object Designer can do because of the crazy things this customer wants. So he's doing pretty good there. Ronald is manning our 1099 war room. As you have seen, we did the vibe code analysis, full code analysis of 26.5 or 26 versus 27. We now have a direction, and he is going to become our 1099 expert to handle all things 1099 for all of our customers. Get that off of plate of Alyssa and Tanya, because ain't nobody got time for that. Franklin is now jamming on the partner dashboard because he is a vibe coding master. So he is fully co-piloting and vibe coding and adding features lickety split. And we are now going to all gas, no brakes on the partner dashboard and many other projects. Fatima is working on the application. I believe she's submitted. You have to apply in order to take the test for the PMI PMP certification. She has submitted that application, which is rather extensive. So we'll see if she can get approved in order to just take the test. She spent over 50 hours studying for that. She's now leading up and wrapping up the final details of the El Coyolar Christmas Festival, and she has submitted the application for the new Dynamics user group in El Salvador for Business Central. We're waiting on a response. We need to follow up with them and see what's going on there. And we had two blondes invade Berlin, El Salvador. You may know my lovely partner in crime, Tanya Henderson. And she brought along a partner in crime, Shannon Mullins. You see in the background there. So if you've walked around Berlin, El Salvador, as I know many of you have, you will realize that two blonde women walking around in Berlin would be quite noticeable. So anyway, they were cruising around Berlin. They got to check out the ERP Center of Excellence, Shannon, and got to meet the full crew in the office. And yeah, so Shannon is our first official visitor, Business Central MVP, checking out ERP Center of Excellence in Berlin on the side of Volcano, meeting the crew and enjoying our hospitality. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Berlin English Academy is doing quite well. We now have 4 candidates from Berlin who have gone through the E4CC scholarship program for the English Academy, have also attended the 70-plus hour Berlin English Academy program that we host and sponsor. And 4 of them are working on applying for the RSM US El Salvador training program. If you're familiar with RSM in the United States and internationally, they have an office in El Salvador that is called RSM US El Salvador. Awesome folks, great people, amazing company in El Salvador, hiring by the truckload. I don't know how they do it. So every year they host what's called the trainee program, where they invite college students and college graduates to come see what it's like to work at RSM US. It's kind of a recruiting program, career program. It's fantastic where they invite dozens and dozens of trainee candidates to their office, and it is a 9 or 10 week program on Saturday. I think it's February, March, April, where the trainees come to the office. They see what each of the departments or divisions does at the RSM US El Salvador office: enterprise stuff, strategic stuff, financial consulting, high-end enterprise stuff, mid-market stuff like Business Central, cybersecurity, network operations, IT support, things like that. You name it. Really awesome program. So huge opportunity for these 4 Berliners that we have helped come through the English program apply for this. So Ronald is leading that up, helping them with their English proficiency exam. And that's like A1, A2, B1, B2. And then they're doing a resume, they are doing typing practice in order to submit an application for this training program. Awesome job. Thank you, Ronald. And also, as many of you are aware, the 2025 EF EPI has been released. And as you may know, the EF EPI is the EF English Proficiency Index by EF.com. And this is an English proficiency, global English proficiency index that is released each year, ranking 123 countries and regions by English skill. And El Salvador has moved up the ranking. It is now the second highest ranking in Central America, and it is the 5th in all of Latin America. Argentina, Honduras, Uruguay, Paraguay, then El Salvador. But if you are geography fans, you will know that Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay are I believe, are in the far eastern US time zone. So they're Eastern or Atlantic time. So it is a little challenging to have those countries as nearshore operations for US firms. Whereas El Salvador, you may know, is either mountain or central time, depending on daylight savings. So El Salvador is, I would say, the #1 location for nearshore operations for US and Canadian operations if you're interested in nearshore activity, because it is US mountain or central time. El Salvador uses the US dollar, and it's pretty safe place to be, as Tanya now knows. So check out the ef.com/EPI English Proficiency Index for 2025, and congratulations, El Salvador. Okay, that is it. Need to wrap it up. Q&A. How's it going? What are you working on? What are you vibe coding? Get cracking, because if you're not vibe coding, what are you even doing? Like, all of the possibilities. Think of the movie Limitless. Take the pill, get productive, and write your next novel. On the Q&A front, this is an absolutely fascinating YouTube video by Ollie Richards. And it's about a guy named Vaughn Smith, apparently, who is I forget what they call it, like a superglot, not a polyglot, like a savant glot. I don't know. There's some weird name. That this guy is in the top like 0.01% of the global population. Apparently, insane mastery of languages is somewhere around 10 or 12, something like that. And when there's only like 1,000 people in the world that know more than 10 languages, this guy has learned 24 languages. And I don't know if you consider him fully fluent or what the ranking is, but he can easily have a conversation in 24 languages. Absolutely insane. So he'll meet someone from Slovenia and he'll learn the language because he meets someone and he's like, oh, cool, I want to talk to them. He would hang out in Washington, D.C., walk by an embassy and meet someone who is Russian. Start chatting with them. It's like, oh, Russian's pretty cool. He learns Russian. He learns Thai. You name it. Absolutely insane. Amazing video. Check it out. And he had a brain scan to understand like a functional MRI to understand which regions of the brain were lit up. It is wild. And what does he do? He cleans carpets. He's a commercial carpet cleaner for businesses in the Washington, D.C. area. Wild. So amazing video. Check it out. Great story. Really cool. Like awesome. If only AI could like inject that knowledge in my brain and improve my memory, right? So with that, que tengas un buen fin de semana. Have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving and overate like I did yesterday. And with that, adios. Have a good weekend.